Hello guys, welcome to the video. In this video, we are going to continue in Azure governance, security and compliance. In the last video, we discussed about Azure blueprints. In this video, we are going to discuss about Azure policies. Okay. So policy, as you know, so we have some government policies, right? Similar to them, we have some set of rules in Azure, and these are known as Azure policies. Okay. Azure policy is a service that you use to create, assign and manage policies. Okay. These policies enforce rules on your resources. So they're basically set of rules which are enforced on your resources. So those resources stay compliant with your corporate standards and service level agreements. So you can define that. So for example, if you want specific resources to be allowed to be deployed in Azure, you can define that policy or any other policy. There are some examples of policy. Uh, Azure Policy scans your environment resources to identify resources that aren't compliant with policy you implement. Okay, so Azure Policy basically continuously scans your environment and sees which resources are not compliant. Okay, so you can see the compliance status of all your resources in this as well. So for example, you can have a policy to allow only specific virtual machine size to run in your environment. So you can define a specific SKU of virtual machine that can run in your environment. When you implement this policy, it evaluates existing VMs in your environment and any new VMs that are deployed. So basically, there's an option called remediation. So if some virtual machines which are already there in your environment and they are not following this policy, you can go to remediation, and as soon as that remediation start, all your VMs of a particular size will only be deployed. Okay, so those options are also there. The policy evaluation generates compliance events for you to use for monitoring and reporting. So it basically generates compliance events that you can use for monitoring and reporting as well. What is the compliance status of your entire organization? Okay. So it has to be near 100%. So we strive to go to 100%. It's not possible in all cases, but we do strive to go to 100%. Okay. So consider common policies too. You can have these common policies that you can enforce. Enforce tagging for resources and resource groups. So you can have a tagging structure. So for example, if your entire subscription is of production, you can have this tagging enforced in which all your resources will be tagged as environment production or environment development or environment staging. Okay. So any resource you create will have this specific tag. Also, all the resources which are already there will also get this tag. That option is also there. Restrict regions for deployed resources. So for example, your company is only in one country. So for example, if your company is only in India, then you can define that you can only deploy resources in West India or South India. You cannot deploy any resources outside India. Those options are also there. Restrict expensive SKU for specific resources. So some virtual machines are very computer intensive and they're very costly as well. So you can apply a policy in which you do not allow any expensive virtual machines to be deployed. Audit use of important optional features like Azure Managed Disk. Okay, so basically you can audit the use. So there are multiple options that you can see. You can deny, you can audit. I'll show you in the portal as well. So you can have those options applied. In audit, it won't make any changes, but if you set it as denied, it will deny that specific thing to happen. Okay, so basically, for example, if you are trying to create a virtual machine without managed disk, it will deny you to create that virtual machine. So you only can use Azure Managed Disk. Okay, so we are going to explore Azure Policy now. In this video, we are only going to discuss Azure Policy. In the next video, we can discuss Security Center. Okay, going back to the Azure portal. So you can go to policy by typing policy over here. It will take you to Azure policies. In the overview screen, you can see different things. One is the scope. So you can select any scope that you want. So I can go to this management group as well. Okay, I'll choose a subscription. I can optionally choose a resource group as well. So you can see overall compliance is 100% because I don't have that many resources. Okay, if I have a lot of resources, some resources might not be compliant. Also, I haven't assigned any policies as of yet. Okay, so you can see compliance status over here. You will also see some graphs over here. Okay, So you can see the name, scope, compliance status, resource compliance, non-compliant resources, non-compliant policies. All these options are there. Okay. I'll go to getting started. Real-time control and compliance assessment at scale. With Azure policies, implement proper guardianals and access compliance across the organization. Okay, so you can learn more about it on the documentation of Microsoft. Besides this, you have these options that can give you a head start. Basically, you can assign policies, any policies which are built in. You also have options to create custom policies. You can go to definitions and assign these policies. You can assess the compliance of your organization so that you strive to go towards 100%. You can also define some policies, so you can create your own custom policies. Okay, so here are some recommended policies that you can have. Okay, you can also explore policies by different categories, so you can explore networking policies, tags policies. So these options are there. I'll come back to this page. Okay, so we'll create one of these policies. Join preview. Basically some policies for Azure Kubernetes are also available. If you click on your subscription and click on opt in, you will have a preview of these policies. Okay, so Azure Policy is basically generally available, but Azure Kubernetes Service leveraging Azure Policy add-on is in preview as of now. So soon it will be generally available, and it will be also available in these definitions. Okay. Compliance, again you can see the same page that I was seeing in the overview. You can also change different definition type, initiative, policy. So I'll explain what all these things are. Okay, in the assignments and definitions. Okay, so let me explain you this right away. Initiative is basically a set of policies. So if you, for example, imagine a bucket. So if you have a bucket, inside the bucket, if you have multiple policies, then it creates an initiative. A single policy is a policy. For example, you can assign a tags policy. So in entire environment will have a tag of production. So that is a single policy, but initiative can be. So let's take an example of SKUs. So we can have a specific SKU, and for example, we can have only D2 VMs available in your subscription to be deployed, or you can have a specific location. So all of these policies you can bundle in a single initiative. Okay, so initiative is a set of policies which are there, and single policy is basically only one policy which will be applied. So you can see the scope over here. You can change the type, compliance status. You can search a specific policy as well. I don't have any policies, or I don't have any compliance options over here. If I had some options, I will be able to see all of those. Okay. Remediation, I'll do one thing. I'll talk about remediation after assigning the policies. Okay. So basically, in policy assignment, before going to assignment, I'll go to definition. Okay, so there are some built-in policies which are available. Okay, so you can see type built-in is written in it. Okay, so all of these these some are policies. So this is, some are initiatives and some are policies. Okay, so initiatives are basically group of policies. So you can see some have 70 policies. Audit IRS 1075. Okay, so if you want to have this audit, it has around 70 policies with it. Okay, some only have one policy. Okay, you also have options to create custom policies. I'll show you that in a later part. Okay, so you can create an initiative from here, or you can create a policy definition from here. Let's create a policy definition first. So I can choose the scope. So basically it is choosing the scope where I want to apply this single policy. So I'll choose my management group that I created earlier. I'll choose a subscription. I only have one subscription, production subscription over here. So this is the scope where this policy will be applied. Okay, the entire management group, and this subscription is covered under that policy. Okay, I'll provide this name. We can take any name. Mm, let's call it tag, custom tag. Let's call it custom tag. Okay, uh, let's copy. Oh, my bad. Paste it over here. Assigns organization tag. Okay, so you'll assign a custom tag. Category, I'll name it as a new category. Let's call it custom tag environment prod, because this is a production subscription. I'll just name it like this. Okay, I can create a new policy definition and I'll just click on save. Okay, so this is how I can create different policy definitions. Or I can create, okay, if I want to show that policy definition, let me go to type. This is the custom tag policy definition that I created. Okay, so you can see all the JSON parameters in this. I can edit this policy definition. Okay, so if I want, I can add anything over here. So basically I can define different things in JSON document. Okay, so I can either import it from GitHub library, or I can type my own policy over here. Okay, so it's showing all the locations, all the allowed locations. It is having an audit. Okay, allowed locations. Okay guys, so if you want to create a policy definition, you have to click on policy definition, and over here you have to type the scope. So you can choose any of the scope, management group or subscription that you want. You can select that. You can give the name of the policy. You can give a description of that policy. You can name this policy over here. Also you have option to import some of the sample codes from GitHub. If you click on this, it will take you to GitHub and you can create your own custom policies from here. Okay, so you can see default policies, which is auditing the allowed locations. List of allowed location is already there. Okay, so I won't be creating a policy definition. I'll create an initiative. So in an initiative, I'll select the definition location. So basically it is going to scope the same. So I have already got a management group. I'll select this. If you have multiple management group, you can select from them. I only have one. Okay, after that I'm going to name this policy initiative, sorry, and let's call it allowed, that allowed queues. Okay, we can have it as a custom category. I can give a brief description of the same. Allowed queues of VM and storage. Okay, I can again give the category as this. If I want, I can have a existing category, choose existing category as well. So if I want for network part, I can choose this, but I'm going to create a custom category over here. Okay, and on the right hand side you can see all the policy definitions which are available. Okay, these are single policies. So let's type SKU over here. So we get allowed storage accounts queue. I'll just add this policy. Allowed virtual machines queue. I can also have a VPN should not use basic queue. That policy also I can have. I won't be having that in this one. Okay, so allowed queues, I can set a specific value. So I can set, for example, I only want to have standard LRS deployed. Okay, also I can set a value in the virtual machine as let's select any specific virtual machine size, D1 V2, or okay, D1 V2 is fine, I believe. Okay, so we'll have this D1 V2. Any virtual machine besides this will not be deployed. Okay, so we created an allowed SKU initiative. In this initiative we are only allowing specific VMs sizes and storage replication mode. We are only allowing LRS and we are only allowing this size of VM. Okay, I'll just click on save. So it has successfully saved my initiative. If I click on type, I'll get this custom one. Okay, so it has two policies and this is a custom type of initiative. So you can see the definition type. If it is a policy, you will only see policy over here. Category, you'll get this option. This is basically allowing SKUs of VM and replication in storage. Okay, it is the location of this is production subscription. Okay, So this is a definition that we have created. Now we are going to assign this policy. Okay, assign initiative, not policy. Policy is a single piece. Initiative is multiple things. Okay, so we have a scope. Again, we have to choose the scope. We can choose this management group, and only one subscription is there. Here we also have an option to choose a specific resource group. So I'm going to leave it as empty, so it will be applied to entire subscription. Okay, I'll select this. After that, I can exclude some of the things. So for example, if I have some resource group, I want to exclude this resource group. Let's take this. If I want to exclude a specific resource, I can do that as well. Okay, add selected scope. This is done. Click save. So these are some of the exclusions. Okay, these resource group and this resource is excluded. Rest all of the things are not excluded. Okay, initiated definition, we have to find that definition. So you can see this is a custom created definition. We'll choose this. We can have a small description. I won't be adding anything over here. Now we have we can have a policy enforcement as disabled or enabled. Okay, if we have enabled policy enforcement, this policy will apply. Okay, this policy has no parameters. If we keep it as disabled, this won't be applied. Okay, so later we can enable it. It has no parameters. Then you have an option of remediation. Okay, so basically what remediation means is if there are some virtual machines which are already there, or if there are some storage account already there and they have some other replication type. So some storage account might be having GRS or RAGRS or any other replication type, or some VMs might be of different size. It will remediate those VMs or storage account. So it will change their SKU type to LRS, or if there is a VM which is there of any other size, it will change to D series VM, which we selected right now. Okay, so to do this, it requires a managed identity. Let's read this. By default, this assignment will only take effect on newly created resources. Existing resources can be updated via remediation task after the policy is assigned. So basically, once a policy is assigned, automatically there will be a remediation task which will be pushed. If deploy if not exist policy, then for deploy if not exist policy, the remediation task will deploy the specific template. For modify policies, the remediation task will edit tags on existing resources. Okay, so it also requires a managed identity if this policy is not already there. Okay, so basically there will be a management identity that will be created. Okay, this managed identity will ensure that our policy is applied. So in this location we can choose some other location as well. In this location, this managed identity will be stored. Okay, policy will deploy if not exist, and modify effect types need the ability to deploy resources and edit tags on existing resources respectively. To do this, a managed identity will be created for you. Again, it is saying the same thing that I repeated. So basically it will create a managed identity for us. I'll click on review and create. Click on create. Okay, it can take some time for the policy to get applied. So you can see this, it is assigned right now, but it will take some time for it to get updated. Okay, so if you go to remediation, you won't see anything immediately. Basically, you'll see this policy after a few minutes. Okay, it usually takes some time. What I'll do, let's create a storage account. Okay, first let me create a resource group, or let's create a storage account. We already have some resource groups. Let's create a storage account. Let's keep it in a resource group that we created earlier. I'll just randomly type anything over here. Okay, location is this. So what I'll do, let's create okay, RAGRS fine. Let's create in GRS or RAGS, anything. So we have blocked LRS right in the policy. Besides LRS, any resource group that we tried, any storage account that we create in any other replication mode, it won't be allowed. Okay, so I'll choose this and I'll keep all the settings as default and I'll click on create. Validation will pass, but once it is deployed, it should stop. It should not be deployed entirely. Okay, taking some time for this validation. Let's open policy initiatives on the right hand side. So validation has passed, but this resource should not get created. Okay, okay, I think our policy initiative has not, our policy has not been assigned yet. It is still taking some time. So as I was telling you, it can take some time. Right now our policy is not applied, that is why it is getting created. Let's leave it. Okay, great. You can see that our deployment had started, but the policy application took some time. Okay, so you can see resource this was disallowed by policy identities, this. You can see the subscription, policy set definition, allowed SKU ID, this. So you can see basically because of the policy, this resource was not deployed. Okay, resource this was disallowed by policy, code this, initiative allowed SKUs, policy allowed storage account SKU. Okay, so basically it is not allowing to deploy in any other region. Let's do one more thing. Let's go to the resource group again. Let's create another storage account, and in this time we are going to have an LRS. Okay, storage account, create storage account name. I'm just randomly typing anything, LRS. Okay, rest of the settings doesn't matter. Let's see if this will be created or not, just to prove this point that these queues are not allowed. Similarly, if I try and deploy a VM which is of any other size besides the size I selected, it won't be deployed. Okay, so this is a lab for you, so you can create the same policy, replicate the same policy in your lab environment and try and create these things and then go for VM part first. If you have time, you can do this storage lab as well. So try and deploy any VM of any other SKU besides the one that you selected. Okay, this will be deployed. You can see the deployment is in progress and it has already started. So let's leave it as it is. Let's go to check out some other things as well. Remediation has still not kicked in as of now. It can take some time although. So you can see some built-in policies as well. So there are various policies which are allowed. So you can see tags as well. Okay, so there are some specific policies. Require tag and its value on resource. We can apply this policy. Okay, so I can assign this policy. I can select the scope. I won't choose any source group. I'll just select this. I won't have any exclusions. Okay, require a tag and its value on resources, enabled. Let's have a parameter, environment tag value will be prod since it is a production subscription. Next, remediation. Yes, I want any remediation to occur. I'll just click on create. Okay, so this policy is assigned, so you can see in assignment. Let me refresh this. Okay, require tag and its value. So you can see the difference between a policy. So in initiative, you have a container over here. So you can see a bucket kind of a thing. Okay. In policy, you only have a page kind of a thing, right? So you can see the difference in the icon as well. Okay. Later you can edit this as well. Those options are also there. Okay. Leave it as it is. Let's create a new resource. I'm going to create a resource group. Okay. And as soon as I create a resource group, it should have this tag automatically applied. Okay. Let's call it RG001. Okay. Next tags, as you can see, I'm not applying any tag over here. Okay. Review and create. If you want to learn more about tags, I've already created a video. Okay. So you can check that out. I'm not applying any tag. Review and create, and then I'll click on create. Let's check out our resource, our storage account as well. So you can see this storage account is also created. So this has had a replication type of LRS. So this is allowed. Other replication types are not allowed. Okay. So we created a resource group as well. If I go to the resource group, it can take some time for the tag to be applied. Let's wait for it to get applied. Okay. It can take a few minutes. So we just created this policy and applied this. We applied this policy. So it can take some time for it to get seen over here. Okay. Again, we can go to policy and see some other things that are there. So in compliance, you can see this is not started yet. Okay. Remediation. Let's see if we are able to see this or not. Okay, it's taking some time. It is saying not started. After that, after some time, you can see enabled options as well. So the state will change and the status will also change. Okay. Okay, so I said in the starting that we can see some inbuilt policies which are available. Okay. So we can also have some not allowed resource types. We can have required tag on resource groups. That is also there. We can inherit tags from resource group. Okay. Automated inheritance of tags from resource group to resources. So if you create a tag on a resource group, it is not automatically inherited to all the resources. Okay. But if you apply this policy, it will be automatically associated. Okay. So let's go for not allowed resource type. Scope we can define anything. We can have only management group as well. This subscription is an exception, but it will be applied to the subscription because there is nothing in it. Okay. So it is basically taking the assignment name as not allowed resource type. It is an enabled policy. Okay. I'll click on next. I can see various services which are available, and I can define some policies which are not allowed, services which are not allowed. So I can have locks not allowed on Microsoft authorization, or I cannot allow Azure Stack components. Okay. So all of these options are available. If I click on next, if there are some resources already created, for example, if lock is created or Azure Stack is created, I'll create a managed identity and it will remediate it. So it will delete those resources basically. Okay. Click on next, review and create, and click on create. Okay, so we have created different policies on this subscription. Blueprints we have discussed in the earlier section. Resource graph are basically used to browse different resources within Azure subscription. User policy is basically related to GDPR. Okay, these are basically related services. These are not covered in this Azure policy. Compliance state is still not started. Just waiting for it to start. it can take some time for the scanning to occur. Okay, so I think you get the point what Azure Policy does. So you can create this and wait for it. After you can take it can take around 15 to 20 minutes for this to see appear. Okay, so you can see different resources which are compliant or resources which are not compliant. Okay, so after 15-20 minutes you can check it in your lab. Okay, so this was all about Azure policies. I'll see you in the next video.